Welcome to part 3 on 22nd century leadership. So far we've covered two aspects of a leader's job. One, to change people's behaviour. Two, to create an environment in which they can be the best they can be. The third one is creating an environment in which people believe in themselves. And this, to me, ties into epigenetics. So epigenetics, a brilliant book. I'm giving you lots of books to read, but I can't give you all the detail, but these are amazing books. It's by Bruce Lipton, a cellular biologist, and he wrote a book called The Biology of Belief. In fact, with all three of the authors I've talked about, you'll find them on YouTube, either as a TED video or on YouTube. If you look up Bruce Lipton, Lipton, you'll find him there. Well, in his great book called The Biology of Belief, he teaches us how people's beliefs are actually turning their genes on. We underestimate the power of belief. Do you know that science is showing us that if you believe in yourself and your own abilities, it's a better predictor of success than any level of skill? If your belief in your own ability is a better predictor of success than any level of skill. Now think about that. What are you doing to help people in your organisation believe in themselves? And in terms of that, there's a great experiment that was done by psychologists some time ago, and they went to a school and they tested all the children in the school, and they gave each of the different teachers different feedback. Well, they went to one particular teacher and they said to this teacher, "You have 3 gifted children in your classroom. Now, we don't want you to tell them, we don't want you to treat them any differently, we just wanted you to know that you've got 3 gifted children in your classroom." Anyway, 12 months goes by. At the end of that, guess what? Those children perform exceedingly well. They're obviously gifted children. It's obvious that the research had proven early on and identified gifted children. Well, guess what? They were randomly selected. The psychologist randomly selected 3 kids from that class. And because the teacher believed that those children were gifted, she unconsciously treated them differently that whole time and instilled into them a belief that they could do what she was asking them to do. And at the end of the 12 months, the kids appeared gifted. Now, what do you believe about your children? We haven't got time to go into the parenting aspects of this, but let's go back to the workplace. What do you believe about the people with whom you work? Now, in every team, there are going to be people with whom you get along really well, and you share similar values, and you think they're great, and you like them. Well, they know it. Surprise, they know it. And there'll be others who challenge you, who may not think the same way you do, and they will know that you think that about them as well. It doesn't matter whether you clash with them or not. It's how much you believe in their ability and how much you can instill into them a belief about their own ability. You see, what happens is that when we start off, by the way, we don't ever see reality. We never see reality. Life is about perceptions. And of course, I'm not going to fit it all on this piece of paper, and I'm trying to do this in my backyard, and it's not extremely professional, but you get a hint of what sort of information you get and the style it's in. Well, not exactly the style, because it's different when there's lots of people, but here's the information. So, we perceive the world. Oh, have you ever seen that video, again on YouTube, about a professor who had a class of students at uni, and he asked them to observe this video and count the number of times a basketball was passed between the black team and the white team. So the students sit there and their focus is on counting the number of times the ball goes between black and white people, clothed people. Well, at the end of it, he stands up and says, well, what numbers did you come up with? He says 7, 12, 14, whatever. And then he says at the end of it, and how many of you saw the gorilla? And about 2 out of the group put their hand up. And the rest of them are looking and going, what gorilla? Well, I didn't believe this either till I actually looked at the video. But honestly, there is a person dressed up as a gorilla, and we've got all these people dressed in black and all these people dressed in white. And in the middle of this basketball game where they're tossing the basketball, this adult human in a gorilla suit walks across the stage, basically goes, hello, look at me, I'm a gorilla, and then walks off the stage. They didn't see it, because they weren't expecting to see it. Their perception was completely different. The reality was there was a gorilla standing in the middle of the screen they were looking at. And what they believed was reality had no gorilla in it. So be very wary. We never deal with reality. We always deal with perceptions. And those perceptions essentially cause us to tell ourselves stories. Life is about the stories we tell ourselves. It isn't about life. And because if it was, we'd all be joyous creatures at one with everything and peaceful. It's about the stories we tell ourselves. So something happens, and then the story we tell ourselves about ourselves begins when we're little. You know, people aren't born shy. Babies aren't born shy. They don't come and go, oh, I'm shy. I was shy since I was born. I've been shy forever. They don't do that. Probably what happened was that they were clinging to their parents' leg one day when they were little, a toddler, and the parents covering them say, oh, Johnny's shy. Johnny, he's so good at maths and sports and everything else. He's just a little bit shy. Well, every time Johnny clings to mum or dad's leg and mum or dad says Johnny's shy, Johnny starts to get this story. And before Johnny's 7, Johnny thinks, I'm shy. And that's the story he tells himself. What are the stories you tell yourself about yourself? You know, I was so blessed. My mother, I wish I knew how she did it. I don't know how she did it. But she instilled in all of us, as her 3 children, that we could do whatever we wanted to do in life as long as we put in the work. And I truly to this day believe it. Whatever I put my mind to, I believe I can do, as long as I do the work. What are you instilling in terms of stories, which will lead to, by the way, that it goes perceptions and stories, then beliefs. These stories cause the beliefs that we have about ourselves. What are you instilling into the people with whom you work? Now, you don't have to be in a leadership role. This could be as a colleague, as teachers. We are so significant in the instilling of beliefs into children and the stories that they tell themselves about themselves. So apart from that, think about the story you tell yourself about your job, about your boss, about your company, about the work that you do, about your customers. Think of the story that everybody tells themselves about all these aspects. Because if you can change the stories, if you can identify the stories and you can change the stories and repeat the new stories until they then become the beliefs, then you will transform the workplace in which you live. Isn't that exciting? So look out for part 4, which is on the 4th part of a leader's job. See you soon.